Guys, welcome to my first video. I'm Blackwire TCG, and I'm going to be covering why I am choosing Gemix over PSA or any of the other slab companies that are out there. Hope you enjoy this video. Just apologies if there's some issues with the camera and things. This is my first time doing this setup, but I just want to make sure that everyone can kind of see why I'm shifting over away from PSA. The first thing I'll just do is I'll talk really quick about why I'm shifting away from PSA. We know that there's a lot of issues going on right now with the company as it pertains to price increases for being able to submit base level submissions. There's also issues with just the turnaround times with getting cards back. So we're going away from 3 months and now looking at a 6 month turnaround time. So it's very inconvenient for a lot of people who want to make sure that they can have their products back into their collection. So for me, slabbing cards has always been about making sure I have a great collection and being able to display that collection. So it wasn't really about selling the cards or flipping the cards. It was always about presentation. So back when I had a meeting or a video with Henry's Poke Corner, we had an opportunity to describe our ideal slab. And before I even knew Gemix existed, I went ahead and designed a slab, which I'll put up on the screen here. And that is what I thought about when I thought about what I find to be an ideal slab. It just so happens that Gemix hits a lot of the marks that I was thinking about when I actually made that creation. I just didn't know that the company existed. So what I'll do here is I'll share a lot of the cards that I got back from a recent submission. And then while I'm doing that, I'll share why I'm choosing this company and talk about some of the aspects that you're probably curious about with this. So first off here, you'll see we have a Charizard. This is the 25th anniversary card. I'm not going to go too much into the grading, or at least the grades of my return, because I never expected these cards to get a 10. Just because I sent these cards more so for the review than I did the actual getting 10s and things like that. As you notice, the grade is on the back with a metal slab here representing the card. Gives it a very much so a trophy appeal. I really appreciate that from the company. One thing I also appreciate from the company is it is very visible to see the outline of the slab. What this does is it gives you the benefit of being able to put something as far as matting right behind the card and being able to see right behind it. So it makes the card really pop from a display stance. Right now I have the seal or the sleeve on the slab, but it usually comes out very clear, even more clear than what you're seeing right now. But I much so appreciate how Gemix does their slabbing. The pricing is also pretty good. You're looking at 2,200 yen for each submission. That's for international as well. So it is a Japanese company, but this company does take submissions from all worldwide. It just may take variance in as far as how much you'll pay on top of that for import fees, taxes, and those types of things. But once again, a very beautiful slab, very beautiful presentation for a company. The sizing is actually pretty similar to a PSA slab. As you can see on the side at edges here, they're actually the same dimensions of a PSA slab. I also appreciate the options that we have as far as being able to place the plaque in English or put the letters in Japanese. So you have a choice on how you want to represent your items. I chose to put my English cards with the English descriptions at the bottom, just because I really appreciate being able to describe the card in the natural language that it came with. This company will grade Chinese, Korean cards, but I don't think that they have the plaques available yet for Korean and Chinese. I might be wrong as of making this video. One thing to note, you see the name at the top there, as well as Pokemon Traded Card Game, and then it goes over Sword and Shield, and then gives the numeric description at the bottom there. Here you see a Japanese slab and how they're presented when you see the text. Once again, the same representation. You can choose whether or not you want to have a Japanese slab with an English plaque. It's just up to you. But the description really reminds me of a trophy instead of more of a grading item to sell. It is possible to sell these slabs. There are slabs on eBay right now for sale, but I think of these things as more of a permanent hold for my collection. You may have a different reason for grading here, but I do think over time it will catch on. I think a lot more people will be interested in this type of card, or in this type of slab, I mean. As far as upcharges go, that's another thing that's a pet peeve of mine as it pertains to PSA. We don't deal with upcharges with this company. The difference in how you can submit your items, so 2200 yen is the pricing for submission, which is roughly 15 US dollars. That submission price is for the base level, but that is consistent with how you consider the price to be for your raw cards, roughly around $500 estimate for that number. But you can choose what tier you want to submit your cards in and how you want to evaluate the pricing of your cards. The company will not try to scrutinize your pricing as you make those submissions. So it's really up to your discretion. It's more so an insurance matter. Here, once again, I just wanted to talk a little bit more about how these makes your cards just so much more beautifully represented in these slabs. You're not dealing with the label taking over the top here. I'll go ahead and grab a PSA slab just for comparison. So once again, you can see the sizing is the same. The width is just about the same. And then another note is that it's just a little bit heavier on the Gemix side than it is on the PSA side. And then as far as turnaround time, I'll also share that the turnaround time is up to 30 days, with the fastest turnaround time being 10 days if you're submitting from Japan. And it just varies based on how many cards you're submitting. And by the way, there is no limit to how many cards you can submit. I know a lot of people compare this company to ARS, which is another Japanese grading company, but that company right now has a limitation on how many cards you can send and how often you're able to send per person, per family. So it can be very strict. But with this company, you know that you're able to have a no limit submission with a standard turnaround time of about 30 days. For this submission here, I actually submitted 26 cards, and it took me about 2.5 weeks to get these cards in from inside of the company to outside, being shipped out with images of the slabs. Speaking of images of the slabs, once you send your cards in, the company does take a picture of how the cards were received. So if you have any challenges to what the initial condition of the card was, you are able to see a picture of your cards as they're sent in. After that, they do track and try to scan those cards with AI to assess the quality of the card and condition, and along with actual physical viewers who track the quality of the card and assess whether or not the AI is on track or not. So if you have any concerns of consistency, it doubles down with not just an AI assessment, but also a human assessment on top of that at the back end. Also note in the back of the slab, you have a QR code here. This is probably one of the most transparent companies as it pertains to the quality of, or evaluating the quality of your cards. When you scan this slab here, what you're able to see is you're able to see the centering, the edges, the corners, multiple different layers of how they assess the scratches, the surface, and all types of different mechanisms for being able to evaluate how your card is really amongst the rest of the pile. I will say it is a little bit more strict than PSA as it pertains to how they grade their cards, but I do appreciate the transparency in this company. So just to kind of wrap things up, overall, I would say this company is doing a fantastic job with their image and how they create their appeal for what this card really is. And it's just one of those things where once you get attached to how this company does their slabs, it's very difficult to go back. And then I'll also share on top, there's a couple things you can do with these slabs since it is the same economy as a PSA slab as far as sizing and depth, is you're able to take graded guards, and you can put graded guards on these cards in order to enhance the appeal of them. But unlike a standard PSA slab, because it doesn't have the frosting on the sides, you're actually able to show these cards in a much more robust way. As you can see here, and apologies for the smear there, but you can see how it makes kind of a shadow box effect by adding a black matting to the back of one of these slabs here. So this is just a DIY slab, excuse me, matting that I put on the back here. But just showing you what's possible with these slabs as you start to play around with graded guards and how you want to display your items. But yeah, with that, that concludes my video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, please leave a like as well as leave your comments in the description.